What it is, Brad Lea back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. You already know I got a treat for you. Jon Jasniak in the house.
Brad, thank you so much for having me. This is a dream come true, and I'm ready to nuke the real estate industry and hopefully drop some bombs on land.
Well, that's yet to be determined, but we will check it out, folks. If you guys don't know who this dude is, Jon, Jon, Jon Jasniak, Jasniak. You can find him on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, yada, 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 just at Jon Jasniak.
That's it.
You can also find him on his website, jonjasniak.com.
Easy. But
dude is a land slinger.
I like it. Slinger.
Yeah, like you buy and flip dirt.
That's it, yeah.
Raw land.
Over.
No houses, no commercial buildings, no toilets, nothing to fix. You're buying dirt, bro.
Buying dirt. We'll do a little bit of road sometimes, some power lines, water wells.
Yeah, but that's development.
Horizontal development, we will do a little bit of that, but nothing ground up.
No, I know, but you do everything. But the reason I wanted Jon, number one, because I'm getting in the real estate game in a big way. And dude, to me, I've always been interested in just dirt, but I keep being told, don't buy dirt. You'll get screwed. So how come you're finding so much of it and making so much dough?
Well, they aren't making any more land. So I don't know why people wouldn't buy it, because it is probably the scarcest resource on earth, in my opinion, unless we're going to go to Mars one day, which I think we will.
The scarcest resource on earth right now, in my opinion, is common sense.
That is also hard to find nowadays. I would agree with you.
Or masculinity.
That as well. I completely agree.
But and all kidding aside, though, a lot of listeners look to this podcast to, listen to people's stories, how they came up, what challenges, how they got past them, so they can maybe apply it for themselves. So, number one, were you born rich?
Definitely not born rich. I was born into a middle-class family. My mom cut hair. My dad was a firefighter. Rochester, Michigan.
Okay, so Michigan,
Midwest.
Regular old family. Not broke, but not rich.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were either. I'd say just middle class. And one thing that always kind of frustrated me is just like, I felt like I always wanted more. So we were in the middle class in a very nice area. I was seeing other people had more. Going on nice vacations, driving nice cars. We weren't broke by any means, but I always knew that one day, it's funny, I would always tell my parents, I'm going to own a Lamborghini, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to go away and do all these crazy things, different state. I guess that really motivated me to move out and get out of my comfort zone. And I guess here we are today.
Okay, so you left, and then at some point you figured out buying dirt. Were you trying to get into real estate traditionally with the houses in the normal way?
No. I always tell people land is the new American dream, in my opinion. When I fly over the sky, like I did on the way in here, I see all these houses crammed in, beautiful houses, like you're near your office building right here. But for me, I don't want to be crammed into a subdivision in sometimes a big house, but a lot of times just, a house. To me, owning land is the new American dream. And so I wouldn't say it was even my plan to find myself in this niche or this space, so to speak. I graduated school as a petroleum engineer. And so I was engineering, corporate, 9 to 5, typical grind. And when that hit me, I knew I needed to find a way out. So I was stock trading. I was trying to sell products, making little oil field designs and products and t-shirts. And it wasn't until 2016 I bought a course, 2 courses actually, on land. I heard some guy come on a podcast like this start talking about land investing and land flipping and all that. I was like, sounds interesting, good way to make passive income and get out of the corporate grind, so to speak. So I bought a couple of courses, and unlike most, I feel like we were talking about, I actually took action and bought my first piece of land about a month after and ended up doubling my money.
How much it cost you?
$8,500.
See, so you had $8,500. Is there any way people with next to nothing can do it, or no?
Sure. Yeah. I always tell people you can start buying land or any sort of real estate, which with little or no money, but it's exponentially harder. I feel like the less money you have, the more sweat equity, hard work that you have to put in, the more capital you have going into it up front, obviously the easier it's going to be.
Okay. So let's start with somebody that's got a little dough.
Okay.
Like I can drive 5 miles out of town and see just desert everywhere. Now, How do I know what land to buy, and how do I know that if I own it, somebody's going to want it? And if they wanted it, why didn't they buy it before I got there?
Well, I've never owned a piece of land that I couldn't sell. I've never lost money on a land deal, with 2 exceptions. When I bought land with bad title. So I bought a piece that, let's say Brad Lea said that he owned. Turns out he didn't own it. Now, how is that possible? Because I didn't use a title company.
But that's called fraud.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, when you go out to like the desert, we were talking about like Mojave County, Arizona, or some of these crazy places where there's just 1 acre lots in the middle of nowhere that someone subdivided back in the day. You get a bunch of landowners from California, New York, Florida. They say, oh, I want to own 1 acre in Arizona. It's a good investment, whatever. I like Vegas. It's close to Vegas.
1 acre's not that big, though.
It's not, but it gets the job done for most people. I mean, you can have an RV, mobile home, build a home on it, camp on it.
Where do you get the city plans?
No city plans when you're outside of city limits.
I know, but like knowing somebody's going to put a road or a freeway right through there, and my land's right on the freeway, wouldn't that improve the value of the land?
Definitely. But
so when city planners know, we're heading out that direction, don't they tell all their buddies to go out and buy that land? Sure.
And that's why real estate's so amazing, because you have inside information and you can act on it by doing your research. Legally. Yeah. But let me ask you, if you owned a piece of land in the desert, what do you think people are doing with that land? What do you think can be done with it?
Can be done with it?
Yeah. Just land in the middle of nowhere, hour outside of Vegas. Why would someone buy that?
Well, an acre?
It's acre.
Not, I mean, drive in a circle. Like you can't do shit on an acre, can you?
Perhaps, yeah.
You can basically take a shit on your acre, but like
you could.
Acre's not that big.
300 by 150 foot, probably.
Yeah, that's like you can go out
like
there.
It's like a football field, right?
You can go out there and freaking throw a football.
The amount of people in this country who just want to own a piece of land, whether it's a half acre, a 10th acre, 1 acre, 100 acres, I think would blow your mind. People want to.
Dude, I do. That's why I wanted you on the show. Like, I'm like, dude, and when we flew that private jet trip we did, I was talking to you, but I was like, had to do the thing. So I'm like, I didn't pay attention. Then like I told you, I don't remember shit. I just move on. But here you are again and again. I want to get somehow involved in real estate in general.
Sure.
And land is definitely one of them.
It's the base of it.
But I'm not going to just do land. You just do land.
Yes.
Why not all the other opportunities that are available?
Well, I'm sure you know this because you own many different businesses and do a lot of different things. Focus is important. It's very hard to juggle land, multifamily, commercial, storage, RV parks, mobile home parks, all that stuff at once. I mean, you take someone like Grant Cardone. Why does he only do multifamily? He's the expert at multifamily.
He does more than multifamily.
Sure, he does, but that's his main focus. Just like my main focus is land. I do more than land. I've invested in storage, RVs, stuff like that.
So you don't just do land.
No, I mean, but 90%. So I would say, I just do land.
Your main focus is land.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Because I was just trying to think, like, why would I only want to do land? See, because then I'm new. Like, someone's like, well, Brad, don't you have a real estate thing coming up? Yeah, but I'm bringing in all the experts that have been doing it for 100 years that most people can't get access to, that make millions doing it. That's all I'm doing is bringing people together to say, hey, and again, maybe that's where you'll meet Jon Jasniak, which apparently you go by Jazz.
Yeah, that's a childhood nickname, and I kind of named all my companies and brand J-A-Z, Jazz, short for my last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I will say this, land, to me, you ask, get more specific, kind of why do I only do land? Can't find returns, in my opinion, that come anywhere close to land.
Raw land.
Preferably subdividing it.
Okay. So like right around here, for example, I want to build what I like to call man caves. Yeah. Where you can go, build almost picture a garage with a office or a loft in it.
Sure.
Like a flex space man cave.
Mm-hmm.
People can come in, trick it out or leave it plain, but they put their toys in there. They put their shit in there.
Yeah.
Have a little office, maybe a workout area.
Great.
But it's $2 million an acre around here.
Yeah. It's expensive.
But it doesn't pencil. When you do the math, it doesn't pencil.
Exactly.
So I need cheaper land.
Well, you ain't going to find it.
I know. So,
here at least.
So do I just keep going outward?
Yeah. So we talked about this before the podcast. Outside of city limits, by far my favorite place to be. Less restrictions, cheaper. You're in the path of growth, etc. For you, I'm sure someone would actually enjoy getting 20, 30 minutes outside of Vegas, have a little place to escape for their man cave. Probably no restrictions out there. They can do what they want. Perhaps they can go outside and shoot guns, have a huge old bonfire. They're outside of the city. There's no restrictions on that stuff in most cases.
How far outside the city could it be? Like literally?
Yeah, it could be literally
right over
outside
the line.
It could be, yeah.
Is that land more valuable because it's next to the line?
Exactly. As you get closer to that line, the price goes up. As you get further from that line, the price goes down. But I would say...
So everybody, if they're out there listening to this, because a lot of people listen and they go try to just do it on their own.
Yeah.
And if I were listening, I'd be like, okay, so ideally I want all the land right outside the city in the whole entire radius of the city.
Here's the problem with that. People who are selling that land are savvy. They know that that is the path of growth. To your point, your deal didn't pencil. Now try going and buying all the land right outside the city. Is it going to appreciate over time? Yes. Land is probably the only asset, at least that I could think of, that has appreciated since the beginning of time because the earth is not getting bigger. However, if I was a developer right there trying to sell that land, I know the growth is coming there, so I'm going to get top dollar. Most projects aren't going to pencil, and you need to have the fortitude and ability to hold that for 5, 10, 20 years until you see some sort of appreciation on it, which most people can't.
By the way, folks, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I'm not interested in land, I'm about to shut this off. Well, hold on there, partner, because old Jon Jasniak's about to give away some land.
I am.
What are you giving away?
I'm giving away another piece of land in Texas. I brought the deed for you, Brad. It's worth about $1,500, and I'm going to give it away. We did a land giveaway before. I want to do another one. Do you own a piece of land, by the way?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by land? Yeah, I own some shit, but it's not land.
Okay. Well,
I own the land in addition to, but I don't own just land. I want a block of land.
Sure.
I want to be able to drive up and say, see that from there, clear over to there, over to there. I own that.
Well, this is maybe your chance if you join this.
Well, that's not my chance. That's their chance. You ain't giving it to me.
Well, I hope you don't join because I think that would be a conflict of interest. But one lucky person is going to win it. And
how do you join?
You join by going to landbombs.com. I set up a special URL just for you and the bomb squad. They go there, drop their information, just name, email, phone number. That way we can contact them. I'm going to run this. I think January 2nd is enough lead time to give the folks. January 2nd, we'll do a live giveaway. I will, at least. I'll hop on social media and boom, we'll do basically just do a raffle. Line everyone up, put them in a spreadsheet, random number generator, pull one winner, and they're going to start their land empire.
So basically you're giving away, what is that, an acre? What is it?
It's an acre, yes, sir.
So you're giving away an acre of dirt, acre of land.
In Texas.
Where? In Texas.
Yep.
Nearest to what town?
It would be nearest to big city Lubbock, Texas, which is where I went to school, Texas Tech.
Okay.
It's about an hour west of Lubbock.
Little ways outside of Lubbock, fellas. And by the way, if you're going out yonder way.
Oh, boy.
John was kind enough to get me the old
now you're official
Lubbock gear.
Texan.
Right? Let's see.
That looks good on you, man.
How you doing? Is it too high? What is it?
No, that looks good right there.
Is that how you're supposed to wear it?
You can wear it a bunch of different ways. I wouldn't call myself a cowboy hat expert, but that looks pretty good. And you got dropping bombs right there on the side.
But if a real cowboy saw me, would he be like, put your hat up, boy?
No.
Like, are you supposed to be like that? You're supposed to be like this? Like,
that looks
hey,
a little,
Paul,
that looks
we got all
goofy.
the horses in the barn.
Yeah.
Or am I supposed to be like, how you doing, ma'am? Or no, you're supposed to be like, ma'am.
That's right. Dropping bombs right on the side.
Okay, so you're giving away an acre, and they have to go to landbombs.com and basically give you their info. Why do you want their info?
Well, we're going to need it to raffle it off, obviously. But then, of course.
I know, but what's the real reason?
The real reason. Well,
what do you use those for? You call them and say, hey, you're interested in land? I got some land for you. Or, hey, you want to learn about land?
Yeah, so we do have a training course and everything. Obviously, we're going to put them into the CRM.
Well, here's my question.
The thing that I love about mine is I know you got a cool newsletter.
Well, hold on, though, because people are listening. They're also interested. They don't need to do that just to learn. They can go directly and, find out more about your shit at jonjasniak.com if they want to learn land.
Definitely.
But what you're going to get when you want to do a raffle like that is you get 1,000 people that want the land. They'll give you their name.
Yep.
But they have zero interest in learning.
Sure. And so we're going to leverage that to perhaps sell some of our land. Those leads obviously are valuable to other real estate operators, other land people in the niche. Someone joins this contest, says, hey, I don't want land in Texas. I want land in Nevada. Okay, cool. Contact my friend, whoever it is, XYZ over at whatever other land company who has 5 acres of cheap land in Nevada.
So for a marketing tactic,
sure,
obviously, which people may not be savvy of things what are called lead magnets. So that's a lead magnet. You're giving away a nice lead magnet too. But my point is, why wouldn't you? Because if I want to get a list of people to talk to or to offer something to, I make the lead magnet something that identifies their interest. That does not identify my interest. That identifies my interest in a piece of property for free. So how would we tweak that in the future to where not only am I identifying my interest in the free piece of property, but I'm also interesting my interest in the industry.
Sure.
Because that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for people that want to go learn this shit.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a lot of people on this show that are going to qualify or be interested because they can make money. How much money can one make if they just put in a decent 40 hours a week? They drop the shovel or whatever salary job or they do it part-time, but they're like, I like this dude's story. I think I can do that. What's a realistic idea of what someone could make in a year doing this part-time or full-time?
I mean, the sky's the limit for sure, but I would say multi-6 figures with some simple dedication. Of course, I think what I've built is an 8-figure business doing a lot of subdividing, which is at scale. But if you want to just flip land and do smaller deals, 6-7 figures. My first year in business, I think it was 275,000 doing it part-time engineering, not knowing shit. Bought a couple courses, just took action. First year, I wouldn't call myself a normal case either because I was insane about it. When I tell you I did not like the corporate world, I did not like the corporate world. When you work for corporate, of course, you're delivering 99.5% of value to the corporation. When you work for yourself, you deliver 99.5% of value to yourself.
That's right, fellas.
That's right. So, and the reason I say 99.5%, by the way, is because I think if you do something special for a company, like if I drilled an awesome oil well and saved the company a bunch of money, of course, I'm going to get maybe a little bit of a better bonus. As a business owner, maybe you have profit sharing or some sort of bonus structure. Someone does something great for you, or you do something great for the company. Some of that's going to get distributed to your employees, of course, through profit sharing or bonuses, etc. So, of course, you want to be, in my opinion, the business owner, the entrepreneur, delivering all the value to yourself and your business, or as much as possible. But to me, you know a lot more entrepreneurs and people than me, but I think for me, I think a lot of people aren't maybe cut out for entrepreneurship, and they make great employees, or they can be an employee within or an entrepreneur within an organization, and don't always have to be the business owner. But one thing that's great about land is you can do it on the side. You can do 5, 10, 20 deals a year while you're a nurse, you're a doctor, whatever it is, lawyer, and with little effort, make an extra income, passive income. I'm a huge passive income proponent. We hold a lot of notes. People paying us monthly for land, $500, $1,000, $2,000.
How are they using it?
Everything. There's so many crazy things I've seen people do with land: underground bunkers, RVs, a lot of mobile homes, livestock, especially when you get out to like no restriction land outside the city limits, like I like. The sky's the limit. I mean, so many crazy things.
What happens when you run into, that's federal land?
Well, you can't buy federal land.
You can't?
No.
See, again, who determined it was federal land?
The U.S. government. Your favorite.
So they're the ones that owned it all in the first place? So like all land was originally owned by the well, dude, at some point in time, can't you just claim some fucking land?
Not anymore, to my knowledge.
Well, who got it all, and why did the government get it all? Now it would make sense that the government got it all because the United States of America, this whole fucking area is ours. And then you come along, I sell you a lot, and I sell you a mountain, and I sell you a city. Yeah. And pretty soon it's not federal land anymore. But why would it be federal land to begin with? Because it's the United States of America. Inc.
Yeah. And there's a lot of federal land just north of here, obviously.
But you can't buy it.
You can't, no.
But does the federal government ever sell chunks? It has to.
I don't know the last time the federal government has sold land. I don't want to say they never have, but not that I'm aware of, at least.
Are you familiar with the Louisiana Purchase?
Yes, sir.
Was that about the best land deal ever?
It might have been. That is some real land banking and appreciation there.
What about Alaska? You remember what that one was called?
I do not know.
Oh, neither do I. But there's been a couple of badass land deals with countries and shit.
Yeah. And, you get to like Trump back in the day talking about buying Greenland, stuff like that. I mean, the thing with land is, again, they're not making any more of it. So to do something like that from a country's perspective, I think would be damn near impossible without a war.
Yeah. So, well, again, I was just going off on a tangent. I want to get back to where listeners are like, dude, I like this shit and this is possible. I can do it part-time, full-time. I can do all kinds of shit, but it's real money.
It's real money, especially when you get into the subdividing game. This jacket I got on me, for instance, was a 150 acre piece of land that we purchased about 20 minutes outside of the city of Midland, Texas. 200,000, maybe 300,000 person town. Bought it for 1.1 million, 150 acres. They were asking 1.2, we gave them 1.1. Had a house right in the middle of it. We carved that house out, sold that for 750,000, and now we got 60 lots. We built some dirt roads, 60 lots of about 2 acres each that we've sold out now in 8 months. It's been 8-10 months since we started the project, completely sold out. People wanting to move outside the city. Gross volume on that will be about 2.7 to 3 million bucks, depending on how you look at it. So, buy for 1.1, probably 300,000 of infrastructure improvements with roads,
300,000
engineering, etc. Yep. So you're in it for 1.4 and you're out for 2.7 to 3 million in 1 to 2 years time. That's a pretty normal subdivision that we would do nowadays. And we're looking to scale from there, obviously.
You almost tripled your money.
A little over doubled, yeah. Within 2 years.
That's a good return.
Within a year in most cases. But
so if I start with $10,000,
yeah,
I can only expect to have 20,000 at the end of the year.
No, because these are deals at scale, which take longer period. But to your point, if you go like my first land deal, you go out and you buy a 53 acre piece of West Texas for $8,500, which is stupid cheap. You can expect to flip that into, let's say, 17 grand, which is double within a month's time, maybe two.
So basically, you got there right before the dude who's willing to pay it, or do you have to go market and find someone who wants it now?
I have to market and find someone who wants it. But what's crazy about land is it's kind of a less talked about, I would say, niche nowadays. Everyone, of course, is familiar with house flipping, wholesaling, multifamily nowadays, because everyone, pitching multifamily funds, etc. Less people are talking about land, although there are more people like me who are, influencers, so to speak, and doing training and all that. Land's becoming more popular. But, from the buy side, we traditionally either send direct mail, nowadays cold calling or texting straight to landowners, or for these subdivisions, I'm finding 90% of them just on the MLS. And so you're saying, well, why is this piece of land that we bought for 1.1 just sitting on the MLS and no one is buying it? Because it takes a very unique investor and developer like myself who sees the value in this 150 acres, has $1.1 million. Your average Joe Schmo can't afford that, right? So it takes an investor developer to go out, buy it, and then break it down into smaller lots for more affordability. I get that part, but why is there someone in line to buy it right after you did? Like more affordable, smaller pieces.
To me, if we're driving that way and you said, hey, not the stuff right here on the freeway, that's easy to understand its value, but take a left off the freeway, go 80 miles that way where, dude, you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And there's huge area.
Sure.
And I buy it today.
Yep.
Like, yes, I own all that.
Okay.
Who wants that?
Probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of people across this country, because land nowadays is becoming more and more unaffordable. Obviously, inflation, more development. So
if you buy a piece of land way out in the middle of nowhere, somebody wants it.
Yes.
Well, then how come they didn't go buy it?
because they didn't know. You'd be
They
surprised.
didn't know what.
They didn't know where to find it, how to do it. There's a huge misnomer in this industry. Most people don't even know that you can go to land.com, which is like the eBay or the Amazon of land. And there is around in the desert, like you're talking about, probably hundreds of parcels.
I know. I've seen it, and I've almost purchased some because it looked like such a good deal. Like I saw, because I like trees and like the Pacific Northwest.
Tennessee.
I mean, I want real killer looking land, like a river runs through it type of shit. And by the way, if a river runs through your land, is that worth more? Obviously.
Yeah. People love water.
Yeah. So like to me, I've seen property where it's like 563 acres out in freaking Schitt's Creek, Alabama, and it looks gorgeous, but there's no roads out there. It's just wilderness.
Sure.
And the price is dirt cheap. And I'm like, why don't I just send them 80 grand and buy this 500 acres and maybe I'll build a house there someday. But then I always stop thinking, fuck, dude, I'm going to have property taxes. There's got to be some downfall, and I'm not going to do anything with that shit. And who else is going to want it when it's way out there? Now I'm running around trying to get someone to buy this fucking dirt that is way out in the middle of nowhere. Because if you came to me and you said, Brad, you want this property out in the middle of nowhere? I'd go,
yeah.
Fuck what I want that for.
Well, most people don't know that. First off, there's different markets in land. You can't compare Vegas land to Alabama middle of nowhere land. I mean, it's completely different markets, just like anything else in real estate. They have different land values. With that being said, just because you can buy it for $1,000 per acre in Alabama, that might not be a good deal. The going rate might be $1,000 per acre, and you need to be paying, $600 or $700 per acre. But to your point of who wants it, tens of thousands of people across this country want to become landowners. They don't know how to do it. They can't afford it, so we offer them monthly payments. They don't know where to find it. Like
a lease to own or buy to rent to own.
Yeah, it's technically owner financing. So they become the owner. We have a lien on it, and then we'll foreclose them if they don't make their payments. You
kind of hope they do. Not for
they don't
bad
pay.
intention, but if they do, you just get the land back.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that because it's actually kind of an admin and hassle nightmare to get out, especially in Texas. You got to actually physically show up to the courthouse steps, read off a script, and quote unquote take your land back, foreclose them. So I'd rather just get paid monthly.
You got to go make a public announcement.
Yes, you have to post it on the board.
Here, Jon Jasniak, I'm taking back that land from Twitter Hoskins. He didn't pay his fee.
Pretty much.
So if y'all doing business with Twitter Hoskins, make sure you do business tight, because Twitter will get you.
Yeah, and
you make it sound like it's all way out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's walking around. Hey, give me that land back, John. Well, you better go public steps, make an announcement.
Believe it or not, that's how it's done nowadays in Texas. You have to go make an announcement at the courthouse, and you have to take your land back with.
How come every time I go by the courthouse, I don't see a bunch of people out there making their statements?
Well, I don't know how it is in Nevada.
Is there a statement?
First Tuesday.
Is there an announcement section?
Yeah, there is in the courthouse. There's a posting board.
Dude, do people know this like in Dallas, Texas?
They do. Yeah, you actually have investors. That's a whole nother business model who will go look at the foreclosure board, see what is going to be foreclosed on the first Tuesday of the month in Texas, and then prepare to show up that day and make a bid and try and find a deal. I wouldn't recommend that because I've been to a lot of those tax auctions. Shit, they get bid up like crazy. I mean, you get, every
pretty soon you're
Schmo.
overpaying. You thought you got a deal.
Exactly.
You got retailed.
Yeah.
So basically, all the tricks of the trade because you've been doing it and making all this dough. And now you're like the prominent land guy.
Well, I want to be. I think I'm getting there. That's my goal. Yes. We've been blessed to do a lot of good projects, good subdivisions, over 25 now. And like I said, I've never not been able to sell a piece of land.
Have you ever like called the excavators or the GCs or whoever you need to come subdivide it? Because to me, in my mind, all you got to do is just go. Or do you have to survey it and all that shit?
Yeah, so it depends on the state and the county. You're going to get into state and county regulations. Some places like Texas are more lenient than others. And then, yes, you're going to need contractors. You're going to need a surveyor, probably an engineer,
Civil
maybe
engineer?
A dirt guy. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. It depends. If you're inside of city limits, most likely for sure, you're going to need a civil engineer to do drainage plans, where you put in your culverts.
I know, but my father-in-law is a civil engineer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if you got connections, you can make even more money because you don't have to pay all the retail bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. And engineering can get quite costly on
Sure it
projects. We're looking at one right now that's about a $3 million purchase, probably worth 10 to 15 million. And we're underwriting the engineering to be $250K.
Now, are there loan sources for land, or banks don't lease land or buy land for you?
Banks will lend on land. It's a little bit harder, and a lot of times they don't understand the business model, in my opinion. Oh, you're going to subdivide this land outside of city limits. Same questions as you. Who's going to buy it? Why would they buy it? How much can you sell it for? Are we sure this is a good deal? But you can find land-friendly banks. I'm a huge proponent of seller financing. I've made millions that way, and then private money as well. I have 2 or 3 guys that I'll borrow 500 to $1 million at a time. They'll step in, get fully collateralized first lien on the land, and I'm basically loaning money from them, borrowing money from them.
What type of rates you got to pay for that?
I pay 16 to 18% to the private guys.
So if I give you $1 million, you'll give me back 18%, and how long?
Yeah. Well, it's usually a 5 to 10 year note, 16, 18% fully amortized. So we'll start paying back your principal immediately. And then as I sell the land off with those private guys, they're getting paid, right? Because what happens if I have 100 acres of land and I sold 10 of it to Joe Schmo? Well, Joe Schmo is going to need to get his land free and clear from me and the investor. So we'll write the investor 1/10 of the check plus interest.
So you get paid back quicker. Because I don't want my $1 million gone for 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, a typical time frame for me is probably 2 to 4 years. Plus you're getting the interest, getting paid off.
So but I would be getting 18% for 4 years.
Yeah. 2 to 4 years. Yeah.
For as long as it's in there.
Yeah.
And you put that in writing?
Well, yeah, you have to, because if you loan me money like that, you're going to want to be collateralized by the land. So you're going to have a deed of trust, a promissory note. If I don't perform on my obligation to the private guy, let's say it's you, then you're going to say, okay, you missed your payments, I'm going to foreclose you. Then you're going to take that land back with my survey, my improvements, all that stuff that I've done to it, probably 6 figures. And then you're going to probably hire a realtor and say, hey, Mr. Realtor, sell this land off, and it's going to be worth exponentially more because it's already subdivided.
Is that what you're using my money for? Surveyors and development?
Some of it, yeah, but most of it's just for the land purchase. I often come in with my money as well and pay for improvements, survey, etc.
So what's step number 1? I buy a piece of property and I want to subdivide it. I have to call a survey guy? Step
number 1 is to identify a market. And then once you have a market, you got to find the deal. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 is to actually subdivide it. So you're going to be working with the counties, the states, any sort of laws, regulations, rules. And then, yes, you're going to need to get a surveyor for sure. So you need to mark off, which properties are which, how big is each lot. Then if you're
doing... They draw those maps that you see?
Like that's on my jacket. This is a plat map right here. All the different lots.
What'd you call it?
A plat map.
Plat.
Yep, a plat. So it's going to have all the different footages of the lot lines, acreages of each lot. We have the roads in here, the power poles, any sort of pipelines or things that are on the land, all goes into the plat. Then that's going to go before the county for approval.
Now, do you have to go lay all the electrical and pipe, or just say where it's going to go?
I don't personally have to lay it. That's going to be, if you have roads, that's going to be a road contractor. If you have power lines that you need to run, that's going to be the power company. Some of them charge more than others. And
yeah, but that's where the big money comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, as far as...
But you just sell the land to the people that are going to come in and spend all that money. Because when I buy a plot like that or subdivide it, I'm the developer. I'm building homes, I'm building roads, I'm building curbs, I'm building drainage, I'm building power lines. Like nobody does that individually, do they?
Most people like yourself are... have this misnomer that I'm working with the developers or I'm doing all that work myself. That's not the case. We're going in, we're creating this plat right here, and then we're selling it off to Joe Schmo or perhaps a developer who wants to come in and do whatever. It could be build a home, do an RV, mobile home, have some livestock, do a little commercial shop because there's no restrictions, remember. So think of it as you get less and less restrictions outside of city limits, your buyer pool opens up.
I know, but dude, like if you said you want that square right there.
Yeah.
And I said... Well, what for? There's no power. There's no
there'll be power. Yeah.
Who's putting that in?
The power company. Me as the developer, the person who got this plat approved, needs to make sure that power's run out there. There's water.
But doesn't that cost me money?
It won't cost you money as a buyer. It'll cost me money as
the
subdivider.
That's what I'm trying to think.
It will.
Now, do I have to pay power to run the lines?
It's usually a X amount of cost per foot in Texas, and I think most places $10 to $15 per foot. Now, some power companies will do it for free because they're getting customers. Same with water companies; they'll do it for free because they're getting 60 customers and gonna be paying power for 100 years or whatever. So they're gonna make money off it.
Because again, I mean, I can understand. I'm just trying to put it in my head because I like to think things through on a high level first to see if I'm interested. So I go out and find a bunch of bullshit property. That's when I say bullshit, it's because like out in the middle of nowhere, dude, it's just dirt. There's no land, there's no plugins, there's no sewer, there's no, what do you call that?
Well, like Vegas was that way once upon a day.
Everywhere was. Yeah. But my question is, can I afford to go do this? Well, and people are thinking probably the same thing. So I'm thinking, I put myself in that position. Okay, I can go buy the land. Now I buy the land. Let's say I put $1 million, I own 80 acres or whatever that I get for that. Mm-hmm. And I say, okay, I want this I see this beautiful subdivision here someday. Yes. Single family homes, high end, put a gate around it. But I don't want to put the gate around it and build the homes. I want to sell the land to the company that would do that.
That's one business model. Yes. I don't like doing that, working with developers selling straight to the home builders, because they're so slow, right? They want to make sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. They want to do their due diligence and take 6 months to a year, blah, blah, blah. They want a deal.
So who are you trying
I'm selling straight to Joe Schmo who wants to get out of the city.
I'm Joe
consumer.
Schmo now.
Yep.
Why would I buy that square if there's no power in it?
There is. We ran the power lines. We have a water well ready, and they're going to move out. They're going to maybe do a mobile home, have some horses, move their family out there. Out here, it's mostly mobile homes. So people want to live affordably, which is becoming more and more difficult nowadays, obviously. So here, people are moving out of Midland, Texas, where they're probably paying $1,500, $2,000 a month for a little apartment working in Midland, but then come out here, buy a piece of land for $600 a month and move a affordable mobile home, or maybe build a shop and move their dogs and horses or whatever.
But it's already got power and water and sewage.
Yes, no sewage, septic.
Yeah, but you put that in there.
Yes, or we leave it up to them to put it in. Do both. Depends.
See, this sounds like a fucking headache, dude.
Well, I would say this.
See, this is why people need to go learn from you if they're interested. Because, dude, there's a lot to know. It's not as easy as, hey, you buy some land, you flip the land.
When you get into subdividing, I always tell people the good old adage, what is it? It's simple but not easy, right? I think it's probably the simplest form of real estate. It's a lot easier than dealing with houses, tenants, foundations and drywall and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff can be crazy headache. Obviously, this is a lot simpler than that, but it's not easy. I mean, you do have to know what you're doing, regulations, laws.
Yeah, but I'm thinking through, I might just want to give you my money and take my 18% and let you deal with all that.
That, or we're also starting a fund as we speak, where we're going to both offer straight debt, like we talked about, or equity, depending on the deal. The larger deal is going to be more equity based, obviously. And so, Where
do people learn about that deal?
Yeah. So I think I've raised $5 to $10 million over the last several years, just doing the private deals like we talked about. But now I'm trying to open it up and grow and do it at larger scale. So jonjasniak.com/invest. Got to be accredited, of course. We do have a minimum. We have different structures and things set up depending on the deal. But the goal is, there's a lot of people like yourself who are like, oh, this seems crazy complicated. And then there's people like me who are like, oh, it's actually kind of easy. And we got it kind of nailed down and figured out. And so me personally, I'm trying to scale. And of course, to scale takes more money. So to buy a piece of land for $5 or $10 million and it's worth $15, $20, $30 million after you do all this stuff to it.
Or buy one for $100 million and it's worth $200 million.
That's possible for sure.
I mean, the bigger the deal, the bigger the payoff.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say there's obviously levels to this game. And as you get up to that level, there is a lot more infrastructure that's involved. You're talking curb, sidewalk, probably smaller lots, sewage instead of septic systems, probably working with home builders, doing half acre, quarter acre, 10th acre lots, like your typical subdivisions. Because when people hear subdivision, they think about, 3,000 square foot homes lined up next to one another with a fence and a backyard, driveways. Sure. Yeah.
At least a lot.
Yeah.
But what I would be interested in the land game is go buy a piece of land somewhere killer.
Sure.
That it's just a killer area. Could be remote. Ideally it's remote. Build a road, and then build lots and little pads. Make sure that there's power to those pads and there's a septic on the pad. And now it's an RV park.
Sure. You could do an RV park.
Well, dude, in a killer area, like, dude, RV parks are packed.
RV parks are crushing it nowadays. RV parks, storage, but RV parks, because again, people want to live.
Hey, park it right there.
People want to live affordably, and RVs are a great affordable option nowadays as rents and home ownership with interest rates and everything, because of this crazy economic and political climate that we're in. Interest rates being sky high, people are finding it harder and harder to live affordably, unfortunately.
And let's say, I don't know how big an RV space needs to be, but let's say you bought 5 acres. How many RVs can you put on 5 acres?
It's a good question. Dozens, certainly. It depends on county regulations, etc., but probably hundreds.
Yeah, so 100 of them times 300 a month.
Yeah.
Just for the pad, because people would pay that.
Exactly, yeah. But again,
especially if a river runs through it.
Get a little river in the back.
Or build a clubhouse in the center.
Yeah.
Those are RV parks, bro. And I'm telling you, they got to make big money.
The returns on those, because I've seen some of those pitches, anywhere by the time you're done with the infrastructure, probably 15 to 30% IRR. So again, more scalable. But when it comes to land projects, I've not done a subdivision with less than 100% IRR, annualized rate of return.
So your thing is, dude, subdivisions are the best.
I think it's the biggest bang for your buck from a return perspective, but not as scalable as multifamily, RV parks, etc. Yeah.
Well, then you got to know what you're doing, because I could buy something way out in the middle of nowhere, like you told me to, which you didn't. I just heard on the podcast. So I go out there and find myself a big old stupid piece of property by going to land.com, and then I go and pay and everything to subdivide it and do all that. And then nobody wants to live 75 miles out of town where there ain't shit.
Well,
and now I'm sitting on this land trying to tell everybody and their dog, you want a 1 acre parcel out there in freaking Schitt's Creek?
What's unique that
and
we
by
do,
the way, can you name it?
Yes, I name all my subdivisions starting with a jazz. Jazz acres, jazz estates, jazz trails.
Well, why would you do that? What if someone doesn't like that name?
Well, then they got to go, I guess, buy land elsewhere. Look, the one thing about land is it's a commodity, right? So for someone to not like it because of a name or
I didn't buy a house because it was on a fucking street called Turkey Foot.
Well,
I'm serious. My wife said we should buy that house. It was Nashville, Tennessee. Matter of fact, when I told you I was looking out there, I'm like, let's just rent until we can see what we like.
Sure.
And I almost bought this house for I think it was $890. It's worth way more right now, but it's on Turkey Foot still.
So is that a logical decision or what?
Fuck you. I'm not living on Turkey Foot, bro.
Well, you could have bought it and sold it. Not actually live there.
I could have, but again, I wasn't in real estate and I didn't realize how smart that would have been. So I don't really care. Plus I got, I do other things. You do land, I do other things.
Of course.
By the way, I make 100, 200, 300% on my money. So it's like, if I give you my money, I'm making less than I could if I just kept doing what I'm doing with it.
Unless we do a badass equity deal where we buy a subdivision and, $5 million into $15 million and you have 50% of the deal.
Well, I'm interested in that. And plus I need now tax.
That's the one thing that's not good about land is there's not really any tax advantages because you can't depreciate land.
You can't?
You cannot.
Damn.
We need that law regulation changed. If you're listening,
land doesn't depreciate. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Which is unfortunate, but the returns,
not if you're making money, dude.
The returns are so crazy. So would you rather have crazy high returns or would you rather invest in a multifamily project and get 4 or 5% IRR?
Both.
But a tax deduction.
Both.
Well, if there was both, I think you would see both.
I can invest with Grant and I can invest with you.
That's very true.
And I can go out and do it myself on both those accounts. Like, again, people say, should I invest with Grant Cardone? I'm like, if you want to, ask, go ask him. Don't ask me. I'm not Grant. But what I recommend someone invest with Grant, me, and it's nothing to do with anything other than I don't know why. Because if you're just going to leave your money in the bank and that outperforms your investment, then yes, you should.
Yes.
But if you're interested in real estate, that's not the way to get into real estate, is investing with someone else doing real estate. The way to get into real estate is you go do it.
Be an operator.
Yeah, you go learn it. Like that's what I would recommend people do. Learn real estate, which is why I'm doing the thing. And I'm going to start bringing people in because, dude, real estate can make you rich. Land, as you know, can make you rich. People just need to be aware of the opportunity. So this is going to get out to a lot of people. Your phone will get hit up and there's going to be people going, I wish you'd let you talk more. Hey, listen, I'm interested in freaking yonder Tennessee there.
Do you know the Tennessee market at all?
I don't know any market.
Out west of Nashville, I know several people were doing subdivisions out there. That area is blowing up. And again, to your point, 30 minutes to an hour outside of Nashville, who would want to be out there? Well,
a lot of people.
It's a lot more affordable. You can get yourself 1 to 5 acres out in Benton County or near Clarksville, whatever, out west of Nashville. Still make the commute if you want, but move out there and shoot your guns, have your horses, whatever. And so that's the exact product that we aim to deliver.
And pretty soon the town ends up out there anyway. And then what happens when the town comes out where you are and now all of a sudden you can't shoot your guns?
Well, that's a great question. But in most cases, I do believe they grandfather you in, right? So, I mean, they can't just, if you bought non-restricted land, in a lot of cases, at least in Texas, it's very hard for them, especially if you have a mobile home and then the city limits move. That's why sometimes like in Midland, Texas or wherever, you see mobile homes inside the city. Well, obviously that wasn't the city limits and then it grew. And were they going to tell people, oh, you got to tear down or move out your mobile home? No, they can't do that. So you're going to see, mobile homes and chickens or whatever
horses
inside the city. Yeah. In some of these cities that have grown so rapidly and crazy. But what happens if you own the town? And I guess you make your own rules.
Yeah. And don't you own a town?
We do.
What's it called?
Cornudas, Texas, out near El Paso.
So if you guys are ever rolling by and notice that you're in Cornudas, Texas,
yes,
it's Mayor Jazz.
That's it.
And, and Sheriff Jalapia.
It's Sheriff Brian.
No, Marshal Brian.
Marshal Brian.
He's a marshal.
Yes, because apparently the Hudspeth County Sheriff, Mr. Arvin West, did not like that he called himself a sheriff.
Well, it's your town.
That's true.
But sheriffs are usually county. So is Cudso, what's it called?
Cornudas.
Is Cornudas in Hudson County?
Hudspeth County, yeah.
Hudspeth County. Well then you can't be sheriff, bro.
That's true.
You can be marshal. So be marshal of your town.
Unless one day I become the judge of Hudspeth County, and then we take over the politics of the whole county, which is possible. I mean, that's one thing that I love about this real estate play is it's been so much work. It's definitely taken my attention away from my land stuff, unfortunately, and money, because we're basically $1 million into it. But just the leverage it's given me with my personal brand. And if I wanted to get into politics or whatever I wanted to do, like, it's a great jumping point to do any of that stuff.
Well, your brand's blowing up, so it's obvious that you're teaching people to be, successful doing what you're doing, because you're showing people how you did what you did, which is the best way when you want to figure out, hey, is this guy legit? Should I invest in this guy? Well, dude, just look where they came from and what they did, because if you're paying for a course or paying for something and they didn't do what you're paying for, like, in other words, you used to be you and now you're you, and you know exactly how you did that. So it would make sense that I invest so you teach me. Yeah. Because I'm what you used to be.
Sure.
So like I can trust that you will show me how to get where you got. And that's all I care about. And that's why you originally bought a course.
Yeah. I mean,
was that course good?
Mediocre, but I think most courses you get out of it what you put in, right? If you take action, if you ask questions, yeah, there we go. Most people won't take action. I think you quoted the number, 70% of people are going to buy a course and industry standard, just either not use it or not take action, not complete it. So most people are not going to take action, but those who do, you can find nuggets in every single course. Every course I've bought, I found some nugget in it.
Well, when you buy a course, 70% don't log in.
That's crazy.
They don't not only take action, they don't even go through it. They buy it with the intention of doing it and never do it. The highest percentage, more so don't than do. It's crazy.
I agree. It blows my mind because
meanwhile, they're making 60 grand a year wondering how they can get rich too. And then they're hating on people like you. Look at that freaking gay cowboy hat.
Look at that teal hat and the red one.
Yeah. Why is it teal? Why is it turquoise?
Cornudas has turquoise and red as the town color scheme. So I got the red one. And then I said, well, you know, what can I do for the town of Cornutus? I got the mayor hat, Mayor Jazz. So I said, let's do turquoise. So that way the color scheme.
I don't think it looks that bad.
I like it. I mean, the crazy thing, what people don't realize when it comes to like personal branding and growing your stuff is like, these hats were like a $500 investment, but it's got me millions of views online.
Because who's this guy in the turquoise hat?
Exactly. I mean, it's, you know, it's attention grabbing and almost walks the line in some cases because people who are like traditional cowboys hate on it. So it's a little bit polarizing, which, let's be honest, polarizing things get a lot of attention online. And so it's kind of me reverse engineering. Same thing with the Platt jacket is like,
but do you like the hate or no?
I don't mind it. I mean, I actually kind of like it.
That's why I don't, because I understand the whole marketing game, and I could be a lot bigger than I am, but I have to now be a lot bigger than I am. Meaning, you know, put on a fur coat and sunglasses, and when I go over to the hockey game tonight, bust in with my fur and look like a douchebag, basically. But again, it does work, and that will cause me to grow. But I don't want the hate. I'd rather not be as big and just be cool. Like, I just want to be me. I don't want to be some act.
Well, it's your personal preference, I would say, but you also got to toe a fine line. Like me, I don't wear these hats all the time. I don't wear this jacket all the time. I actually wouldn't want to be known as the colorful hat guy, so to speak.
Because you're going to be known.
Well, perhaps. But, you know, maybe 10 or 20% of my videos, I'd wear this stuff to try and attract attention. But, you know, if you're wearing the fur coat or all this crazy stuff and driving the crazy cars all the time, it's like some of that stuff, I think you hit that line where it becomes too flamboyant and actually starts working negatively against you, in my opinion. You got to find that gray area, like most things in life, kind of a gray area.
My advice for people is to basically, you know, make a decision and be who you are and let the world see who you are authentically. Sure. And I think that's the fastest way to build a real audience, because nobody wants, I mean, I follow people because of the sheer retardedness. Why? Because I like watching the stupidity, but I'd never buy anything or go to their things. You know what I mean? Like, people like train wrecks is my point. Yeah. So you have to make a decision, but my best advice for building brands is be you.
Be genuine. Most people are not genuine. You,
because what happens is, dude, like if you really don't like the real me, then I don't want you following me. I want everyone who likes me. So even if it's a smaller percentage, but they truly identify with what I believe, that's where you get the most authentic and genuine connection with your audience. And that's the best.
Yeah. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I see the fake followers or the fake engagement and people just not being genuine. And you can kind of just feel it when they're behind the camera or when you watch their videos. Like, this person, they're either awkward, they're not confident. I don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to confidence, I think.
Yeah. So it's like, I get people that they're not really Bomb Squad listeners. They just heard one. Why don't you let the guests talk more? It's like, well, first of all,
well, it's your podcast.
That's right, dickhead. Number two, I'm not making this so they can get their answers. I'm making it so I can get my answers. And once you've said some shit and it causes me to think something else, if I sit there and let you finish a 10-minute story, I'm going to forget what it is I wanted to really know. So what people don't realize is, like, I'm asking questions that I want to know, which coincidentally, the people that, you know, listen to every episode, they like that. Why? Because, dude, they're trying to get the same information out of their head. Hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? You know, what's the catch here? What's the catch there? Like, what's the catch? Land, you went and made millions of dollars and you started out regular Joe. Well, what's the catch? Well, what's the catch?
Well, if you're asking me, what's the catch?
Yeah, like, usually there's risk. There's a catch.
Yeah, there's always risk. I mean,
what kind of risk?
You lose your money.
How?
Buy the wrong piece of land, overpay for land.
How do I do that?
Not do your research up front.
So how did you learn to do it and never have lost money?
Well, I've been blessed, I think, where I've started small and kind of grown into it. You always got to start small. I would never recommend your first land deal to be $500,000 $1 million subdivision, a $10 million subdivision. I started small and then grew into it. And there has been situations where I've really felt the pain, I feel like, and have kind of been able to figure it out. One thing that's good about real estate is as long as you buy it at the right price, it's very hard to lose money. especially with land.
So how do you know what that land's worth? Is there comps?
Exactly. There's comps. And one thing that I have kind of, I think, proprietarily, if that's a word, kind of coined is the demand test. So like what we'll actually do before we do any project, we'll go in and do what I call a demand test. We'll go on Facebook and we'll run ads as if we already own the land and attempt to sell it to people. So that way I know if I have buyers who are interested. And there's certain metrics that we look for, amount of messages, amount of leads, that'll tell us, okay, this is going to be a good deal. So if you've ever seen like on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, one of those ads where it's like a product and you like, oh, that's crazy. You click on it, you go to the landing page and it's like there's nothing there, or you can't actually buy it, or the product isn't available yet, or whatever. That's marketers on the back end saying, okay, what's my cost per lead to get people to the landing page? How many people are actually buying the product? We're doing the same thing in land. So when I go to Midland, Texas, and I want to say, okay, I'm going to create 2 acre lots, 20 minutes outside the city, we fire up a little test before we even buy the land, say, hey, 2 acre lots in Midland, Texas for $600 a month, 72 months, 2,000 down. And we see how many people message us and want to buy that land. That's my favorite way to de-risk a land deal.
Nice. So I'm going to learn all that if I come learn with you and study with you and get into it myself. If I just want to throw you money, I don't really care how you're doing it. I just want my 18% a year.
Yeah, or higher if you're in an equity deal, for sure.
Okay, so dude, if you guys are investors, just reach out to this cat, get to know him. Again, I'm not recommending any investments. Don't call me back later and say, Jon Jasniak, click me in the dick hole. Like, hey.
Well, I'm going to try not to do that. That would be
I know, but tragic. Like, I don't want people going, you had him on your show, prick. And plus, I don't know what the rules are, SEC and all that. So
yeah, there are rules.
I always say, hey, this isn't a financial advice. This is, you heard him. You know who he is now. You want to invest, sounds like a killer return. 18% is great.
Yeah.
So
most people
reach out, do your own due diligence. If you want to learn this shit, guys, and you want to get in his position where you're out there flipping and doing subdivisions and making a bunch of money, then go study with him. JonJasniak.com or at Jon Jasniak on Instagram or whatnot.
Yeah. And landbombs.com for some free land. I want to give away. It's only for the bomb squad, so I want to give away a free piece of land to one listener of this show. We'll try and do it in early January, depending on when you launch this podcast, but exclusively to the bomb squad.
1 acre going to the bomb squad, folks, out near Lubbock, Texas. All you need to do is go to landbombs.com, put in your information, and they're going to freaking pick one of you bastards and give it away. And maybe there's only going to be 10 of you. So it might be pretty damn good chances. All right, folks, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And folks, as always, till next time, keep it real.